we're talking about Pig, talking about that pillow.
So, Josh Rubin, thank you for joining me again, my man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, dude. Of course.
Absolutely, man. As you know very well, I'm a big fan, and I appreciate your hard work. And we'll talk about that in a minute, man. If you want to talk about this Nick Cage pillow, buddy, I got a friend named Chris who's the thing for that. It comes up all the time. That's why I leave it here. He's my co-host.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's a conversation piece. And I apologize for the web light that is the dappled light coming from the tree.
Oh, it is, dude. I've had so many.
I think it's moody, you know?
So many of my buddies that I talk to on here, or people that I end up talking to, have strange lighting situations. I have one big ass halo light, so my lighting's always off. I'm always like half dark, whatever it is, what it is.
I like it.
So, man, congratulations on your new movie, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching it. Or maybe you
Absolutely.
didn't see it. Maybe you're just I don't know. Maybe you're just congratulating me and you haven't seen it. And I'll be
No,
like,
I've seen it actually 3 times.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. My wife can verify that for sure. 3 times. Yeah, absolutely.
Is she sick of it? Is she like, Randall?
She watched it with me because I watched it once. The first time I watched it, I think I watched it like the night that I saw it was available, and then we had film club at Alamo Draft House, and it was showing on that Wednesday night, and I like to go up there and hang out anyways, and I was like, sweet, and so I went and saw it, and then I told her, I was like, you gotta watch this with me, and she watched it. She liked it a lot, actually. For anybody that's wondering what we're talking about, it's Werewolves Within. Came out of a few weeks ago at this point, maybe a month ago.
June 25th it came out. Yeah, and then
little
July
while ago.
2nd was it? It came out on VOD. Yeah, it's crazy.
But man, I didn't know what to expect, but I remember when we talked last time, so you had told me that you were going to do it, and I was just kind of anxiously waiting, and then kind of things went south even worse than they were.
Yeah.
And the country got into, it spiraled into just kind of a chaotic situation that we couldn't have
Mania.
seen that really. I guess we kind of could have, but it is what it is. But I was so happy when I saw, like, I didn't know it was coming, and so I was at Alamo Draft House when the trailer dropped, and I watched it, and I literally like out loud went, "Oh!" like really loud, and the guy next to me was like, "What?" And I was like, "Nothing. I've been waiting for this." And he was like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Just yeah, watch the trailer, man." But
it was so surreal to go to Alamo in LA and see, they do the trailer cuts, or they do the pre-roll that's like custom to your movie, and that was incredible. Like to see like them super cutting or showing snippets of American Werewolf or Bad Moon or like Silver Bullet or Werewolf, like Scooby-Doo cartoons. That was real. That was like, I got a burger. I had a beer. I pulled my mask down when I was eating it and put it back up when I wasn't. I was just like, I don't care. To see my movie at Alamo, that's all I ever wanted. There were like 5 of us in the theater. I was
Dude.
like, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven.
I think I was almost as excited as you were. I was so hyped, dude. I love this stuff so much, and my whole life now is doing this, and so I get excited when somebody that I've spoken with, or kind of at this point kind of know a little bit, is doing something that I know you wanted to do, because you were talking about, I'm trying to get this made. I think it's going to happen, but nothing's guaranteed. And then when I saw it, I knew immediately I was going to like it. And one question I want to ask you before I forget. So the setting of Scare Me and the setting of this seem to be in very similar. Was that on purpose?
It wasn't on purpose. It was coincidence. It was just that this happens to be. I didn't have to shoot the second one in the Hudson Valley, but I did because it's where I'm from, and I want to do as much as I can. Bringing work back to the hometown. Just also because it's just inspiring. But it just ended up being total coincidence. This is a movie about people getting snowed in. This is like another by happenstance pandemic movie, which is not what I thought Scare Me was going to be, and certainly not what. The world we were living in when we shot Werewolves.
Right.
So, but it's the same. It's interesting. It's the same geography. The town where I shot Werewolves and the town where I shot with Scare Me are 30 minutes apart, 40 minutes apart. Between Fleischmann's and between Woodstock.
You can feel it. I thought it was awesome. I had a feeling that it was probably coincidence, but I was like, how cool would it be if like he was like slowly setting up this little world where you can go, oh, by the way, this is all one universe, people. You guys just watched a whole Marvel what, you know? But yeah, man, I like that. I'm from Texas, man. I don't get to see stuff like that, so I like the setting. It's pretty.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I dig it. I my dream is to go back there and shoot, like, not in the dead of winter, but maybe in like fall or, you know, like summer.
You can see the ground a little bit.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, you don't have to always see your breath. But there's one thing I'm attached to do that doesn't have a script, but I'm learning about all this stuff. You know, learning about attaching and pitches and what a spec is, and, you know, all this stuff, all this education. There's something that's outlined that I'm attached to that script if it gets bought and if it gets written. Or if it gets bought, then it would get written and then we go make it. So with the timeline, theoretically, what that thing is, of which the writer's attached, you know, we would sell it, and then hopefully by January it's written, and then we're prepping so that it's ready to go and, you know, to shoot in the fall or
nice
or something like that. Yeah, that'd be my dream scenario, or maybe, you know, just the Indian summer or something.
So did you have was there any like real problems? You froze up there. Can you still hear me okay?
Oh my God, look at that face. That's so funny. That's awesome. So funny. Can you
I don't know why it did that. I don't know much about technology, so
wait, let me see if this will
there it goes.
Work. All right, let's see if it comes back. I'm getting the spinny wheel. That's never a good sign. But you can still hear my voice?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. There we go.
Wow, that was so funny. God, that was so...
Dude, I love accidental funny because it's always the funniest. So when I forgot your question. When you were doing Werewolves Within, did you film that one in the middle of the pandemic, right?
No, man, we wrapped March 9th, 2020. And by Friday the 13th, we were in lockdown. It's crazy. So I flew home on the 10th. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good, though. At least, man, because I would hate to be like ready to go, and then you have all these plans, and even then you're like in a smaller town, so there's not as many people. It's not like you're in like Houston or LA or New York. But still, like that, there's more than a dozen or so people last year. Things were just kind of up in the air. We wouldn't have. I don't know. I bet just a lot of people's days got ruined pretty quickly out of nowhere.
I think so. I mean, we were really fortunate because I have friends whose movies were shooting and then they just had to walk away. Like they had to go home immediately. So pencils down, and who had to then go back, whether traveling across, you know, the ocean or back to, you know, wherever they isn't their home.
Wow.
And finish their movie, you know, and that's really intense. We were so lucky. And the fact too that I got to come home, and then, like, you know, you have the 2 weeks where everybody just shuts up, where emails off and you get to just chill for a minute. So we had that, you know, to kind of like reconnect with my partner and kind of live a beat. And then, like, you know, once we were all figuring out our routine, living in Quar, I had a 9 to 5 by editing, but editing over like Skype, and then through this program called Evercast, which was an editing program where everything is super, you know, for the most part, pretty clear and seamless.
Okay.
So I got to work with the editor, but I was like, you know, I was in front of the computer all day, like watching scenes, and like everything was a little bit off the timing wise because of the connection. So I was like really boning the Wi-Fi that way, but I was very fortunate because I had a routine, you know. It's like Green Berets say about going underground at the end of the world. It's like, okay, if you're in a bunker, you got to have a routine. I was like, oh, good. Like during quarantine, like I had a routine. And then suddenly, as soon as the movie was like wrapped, finished, colored, then Scare Me came out. So I jumped right into like press for Scare Me, because Scare Me came out October 1st.
I had my memories confused a little bit. That's right. Okay, I remember a little bit more about what we talked about last time. I should have rewatched that before I talked to you again. I didn't think about that.
Me too.
I'm doing this as I go, man. I'm learning things on a daily basis. I am full-time YouTube now, so that's all I do now. I don't have another job, so
amazing.
It's pretty crazy, man. Last time I talked to you, I think I had like 2,500 subscribers. I'm at like 15K now.
No way!
Yeah,
dude,
man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh? It's like the craziest. I had to start a second channel because my movie content was getting muddied up with the music content, and I wanted to make it easier for people to find. And
That's
so
incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, man. I'm a pretty lucky person. You know what? This is completely unrelated, but it made me think of it when you told me about people that had to stop what they were doing and go finish movies elsewhere. It just kind of, first off, that sucks, man. I hope everybody is okay financially and all that stuff, man. But I was listening to Rick Baker talk to Joe Rogan, of all people, and I didn't know that he did part of the cantina scene in Star Wars. And
wow, that's a collaboration. That's amazing.
I know, right? And so you know the part where they go back and it's like you see the cantina and it's got the whole band playing and then it's got like 30 or 40 people, like all different aliens. Apparently part of that was done months later in a different location on a different country with different people, but Rick Baker was associated with it. And a lot of the masks that were in that were masks he made as a young person. Now I might be messing that up a little bit. I'm trying to be vague so I don't mess up details. But yeah, man. That was one of the most amazing podcasts I'd ever seen. It was wonderful. It was a joy to listen to, man. It was awesome.
Wow. Oh man, that's a joy to hear. He's so incredible.
Man, yes. Yeah.
Was it him or Stan Winston? This is really shitty trivia that shitty that I don't know this trivia. Was it him or Stan Winston that directed Pumpkinhead?
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
Right?
I think it was Stan Winston. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, you might be right because it was Stan Winston creature, right?
Man, I think dude, Pumpkinhead, dude. Pumpkinhead. Yes.
And it's now on Shudder.
So many people need to watch that. Let's see.
It's just that's actually what a monster movie is. That's a straight up.
Yeah, it was Stan Winston.
Stan Winston. Okay.
Yeah. Man, I'm surprised I was able. I was like, I think it's Stan Winston. I'm not 100% sure. So I got told to ask you something that when I got told that, normally somebody goes, hey, ask somebody this. You're like, all right. And then you don't. It's usually not important. But Robert, I don't know if you know who Robert is. Robert Salcido. He runs the Alamo down here in Houston.
Oh my God. I was just talking about him last night with Noah Sagan and Aaron Kuntz. We were like, oh yeah, Alamo dudes. Yeah, Robert, that was crazy.
I see him a lot. Like I talk to Robert all the time.
Amazing.
And he, cause we do the graveyard shift up there on Friday nights every week. And I think that's initially where I saw the trailer for your movie was we were watching, I can tell you what we were watching. They give us these like cool bookmarks to like note, to remember what we watched. And we watched, it was a werewolf movie. God dog, man.
Was it Bloodthirsty or Teddy? Was it one of the new ones?
No, it was Bad Moon.
I mean, one of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I first saw the trailer and I got really excited. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He told me that you always wanted to direct a Darkman movie?
Well, I have always loved Darkman, and it occurred to me like I guess in the past 6 months that no one is developing or no one has written a Darkman project.
I think he told me to ask you about Darkman is what he said. But yeah, because I love that movie. So when I was like,
I do too.
I was like, Darkman? I was like the Liam Neeson Darkman movie? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, he's interested in that? I was like, I would 100% want to watch that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm realizing like we live in a world where like, Shyamalan made Split there was a great story that turned out to be part of a bigger thing. We live in a world where like Ghostbusters Afterlife is about to drop and it's getting really good reviews and people would be excited to see that like a great story that might tie into something that ultimately maybe they haven't seen before. And so I got really excited, not only about the movie, like watching it again, I'm like, it still slaps. Like I watched it twice, like in 1 week. It's still really good.
It's still
really,
good.
Really fun. But also like the fact that it's a good character. It's kind of tragic, wild, enraged. It's relevant in that way. Like we're all kind of angry right now. That's what Jamie Lee Curtis was talking about. Halloween Kills is like, this is about people who are like, we're fed up. We're going to take it. I know that trailer.
Man. Woo!
So ready. I'm so ready. Jim Cummings just revealed he's going to be cameoing in Halloween Kills. I'm just like, so
that
jealous.
Movie, I wasn't excited at all for that movie because I was just a little bit spent on the Halloween franchise. And
that
part of my business is doing trailer reactions. So my friend's like, hey, are you going to react to this trailer? I was like, man, I don't really know. And he goes, you should. And I was like, oh, should I? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I'll do that. I'm watching it and I'm like, what is happening? Whoa. And some guys get all mad. They're like, you showed too much. I'm like, look, man, on a movie like this is a risky movie, man. They have to show you that. They need you to want to be there, man. Because if this movie fails, I don't think it's gonna at this point. I think it's a pretty much a done deal. It's gonna be a smash hit. But like, if they showed you some snippet trailer with nothing that was exciting in there, then people might go, you know what? I'm good. I've already seen enough of that. I'll wait till it comes on via, or I'll go watch it online for free.
Yeah, and it was like all shit I haven't seen before, and I was like, including that you're seeing like Anthony Michael Hall and like original cast members. It's like, okay, no, this is.
You know what my favorite part of the trailer was? The masks from Halloween 3.
Oh my god, genius.
Because how does everybody hate that movie? I as far as a Halloween franchise movie, I think it shouldn't have been in there, but like a standalone movie, I think it's great.
A standalone movie, it's great. I mean, like Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis and the freaky ass mastermind, and they're killing kids with these exploding masks. I mean, it's genius. It's definitely problematic. It's like super weird that like the super old guy is like sleeping with this young hitchhiker, and she's just like, whatever, I love it.
Well, back then, people were okay with that stuff. I watched movies from the 70s, and I'm like, isn't that guy like 55 and she's like 23? I'm like, I mean, she's legally allowed to do whatever she wants, but that's a little weird.
Yeah, like, it's a little weird. It's like, Dad? But yeah, it's good, and I love they just leaned into it. It's just like great. I love that they did that. I think it's awesome.
The only thing that I'm worried about is I'm a little bit worried about the whole taking his mask from him thing. Like, I don't know how far they're going to go with that. They only show you a tiny little bit in the trailer, and I was like, I don't know if I care about him taking his mask off. Like, that's not really my gig. But no movie's perfect, I don't guess. But,
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rewatch it when we hop off and really, because the thing that stuck with me is like him walking out of that house and taking on a whole fire squad is so. I was just like their tools and his like whatever that pickaxe thing is. I was just like,
there's a POV shot where it's like from inside the mask and it's like,
yeah,
yes.
So good.
I was wondering when I first heard about this, I was like, how are they going to get him out of that house? And I was like, so when they explained to you like, okay, there's going to be a fire, the firemen will show up, that's how he gets out of the house. I was like, okay, because that is conceivable. Like, I can see that happening. I hate it when they take a movie that's at least sort of grounded and they make something absolutely insane happen, and you're like, oh, come on. How did he have a grappling hook to get up on a helicopter and get the firemen get in the house, they check out the house, and he grabs one, and that's how he gets out? Okay. Far-fetched a little. Of course it is. It's a horror movie. But I can see that being, that's reasonable. I was pretty happy with that.
He's the James Bond, of horror creatures. Next to,
he's the MacGyver.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. So how I don't keep up with like typical critic stuff because I don't generally agree with them. I watch a lot of B movies. I like a lot of shot on camcorder stuff that I just, so my tastes are a little out there as far as what I really dig into. But how's the reception been? I haven't heard anything but positive stuff from my friends about Werewolves Within. I've shown it to quite a few people and they've all liked it.
It's good. I think it's definitely more comedic. I'm realizing the horror community there's always a tricky dance to dance, right? Like my whole thing is like I'd like to try not getting caught, or my characters not get caught trying to be funny. That's the best way to make horror comedy and make that genre bend work. But I think any negative reaction we've gotten is like, they're so grating, all these big characters. And it's like, part of it is like, these characters are so heinous. Like, it's all about bringing out the worst, the werewolf in all of us, like the worst in all of us, the most id version of us, like in the context of being forced to face one another behind closed doors when you can't go anywhere, when there's a blizzard, when the roads are effed. But it's been great, man. I think if anything, it's just giving me the desire to level up, the desire to like let me play with a little more resources. Let me like do like a car chase, a car crash, a full, monstrous transformation without having to hide anything. It's getting me excited about the next, whatever the next thing is, and then to broaden the sandbox and hopefully just keep people stoked.
Hell yeah! One of the things, it's weird you say that, because when I was reviewing the movie, one of the things that I said in my review is that I thought that it was a really good transition from Scare Me being 4 people in the movie, relatively small budget, one place for the most part it was shot. This was a really good move to the next step. And when you said level up, that was exactly what I said in my review. I said this could probably lead to because if you're patient and you do it right, you'll learn all the things you need to learn. If you go from here and you want to skip all these other steps and you want to get up here, look, you might be able to do it. You may even succeed, but it's a lot of risk. And if you go the appropriate speed, you'll probably fail very few times in your life and be able to enjoy a lot of success. And then by the time you get where you ultimately wanted to go, you'll do it right the first time. And I think that's important. So I like the steps that you're taking to get. I think you're heading in a really, really awesome direction.
Thanks, man. I like this quote from the Coen brothers. Maybe it was Joel Coen who's interviewed on the Deacons podcast. And he said, we don't need $50 million. In fact, no one needs $50 million. I mean, you do need $50 million and up if you're making a Black Widow, and Black Widow's awesome. But for the stuff I want to do, it's so much responsibility, and there's so much you can do with limited resources, even if you're limited to 20 million. But, nobody was $20 million. There were great movies that are 20 and under. And I think that's a range I'm excited about, because there's stories that you can still get weird with. You can still take massive swings with. You can still get esoteric and not have there be this kind of committee of people that go yeah, but what about the action figure, or, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's something I think I'm excited about. Then, of course, if someone wants to give me a freaky Marvel movie, I'd be like, oh, well, let's talk about it.
Right.
But on the whole, it's stuff that I want to make and I want to do. That's weird Josh stuff. I think smaller budgets are cool. Smaller budgets, we're talking about, between 15 and 20. But it's amazing how little and yet how far that can take you. But no one needs
a lot of really great movies that come out. You're forced to be creative when your budget is set, and you're not going to be able to have, say, $75 million, but you want to make your movie look like maybe you had $60 million, but you only got half of that. And you're like, all right, you got to get creative. And I think, what's the saying that they always talk about, where ingenuity was forced from, the need to have things? We get when we're forced to do stuff, that's when the greatest stuff comes about. So while of course it would be amazing to have an unlimited budget and be able to do whatever you want, you might end up squandering some of that money, and you may not end up with a product that even you like. You might be like, oh man, if I was forced into a tough spot, I might have been a little more creative with this decision here, and it might have been cooler. Because I think one of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers about some of the horror movies I watch is that you can see that when they have let's say somebody gets their arm cut off, right? I'm not saying it's easy, but when you can make a physical arm disappear and physical stuff come out of it, why would you do that with digital effects? I know it costs a little more and it's a little easier, but that's my point, is that, man, you got the money to do that, so you just did it and you didn't think about it, and the end product isn't as good. We're 20 years into CG now. We know it's not always the best option, and specifically with horror movies, I would say, is that it's maybe not the right decision all the time.
I know, and that so much of us, that's filmmakers, practical is always the first the first desire, because your actors are working with real stuff. It's in camera, and digital can be a pain. But stuff I'm learning about, even the few digital things we did in Werewolves, that turned out pretty great and pretty photorealistic. It is amazing what you can do. I like to use it to augment. If you have something physical you're working with, and then augmenting, like an amputation or a monster's skin, for example. That's the move, if you can work with it. But that's the thing. And Joe Dante has gone on record so many times talking about this shit. It's like, it takes time.
Yeah.
That stuff takes time. The puppets take time. The practical arm takes time.
That is true. That is very, very true. And I'm not a filmmaker, so I can, definitely keep my mouth shut at a certain point. I don't know. I feel like when I watch some of these low budget movies you're like, man, that was real cheesy looking. I'm like, yeah, but they knew that when they made it. So what does that tell you about them? That they wanted to make this movie. They didn't make it for any other reason. They probably don't care about your approval at all. So I think there's something to be said for that. But yes, there's always a place for, look at some of the stuff that Guy Ritchie did with, as an example, I watched a documentary on him doing some stuff for the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was whole buildings in that movie that weren't there.
Yeah, they can do that shit now.
They had an enormous budget, but they looked really good. And so,
and you can move the camera too. In fact,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and then they have movies like Aquaman, where I'm like, man, that was a risky move you did there, guys. You filmed the whole movie underwater when I don't know that was the right choice, because I personally, I that movie visually I didn't care much for.
I haven't seen it, but from what I see, I agree. It's you sometimes just kind of get, your eyes just sort of glaze over. You're just kind of like, oh, it's a it's an animated movie. At a certain point, it's like
that's the way
a cartoon.
I say if you're gonna do that, lean into it, man. I prefer to have like 80s era looking graphics, so it's fake.
Yeah,
like they're not going for photorealism here. They're going for oh no, it's just a laser sword.
Right.
I can respect that, and but it's all it's so subjective. It's a personal preference thing. And then, people like me who are just really big film fans, what do I know, man? I'm not out there doing this stuff. I'm just really picky about it because I put all my time into it, but I'm not the one out there actually doing the work. So,
but you're absorbing. That's just as important. Like, film fans know what they want. They've seen it. That's why I think, that with the marvel of it all, it's cool that they do continue to level up and bringing in independent filmmakers and allowing time to play and stuff like that on set, but also why we're excited to see new stuff. We get so excited. When Jordan Peele's Nope poster dropped, everyone was like, what? I don't know what it is, but give it, or Malignant, when Ready or Not, the trailer.
Oh yeah, dude.
I haven't seen this before. That we get excited for that stuff. And that's
Ready or Not's one of my favorites. I love that movie.
It's such a fun ride. It's just it's a fun time, and you don't need
to. Dude, that was on
mathematics.
When I did my top 10, that was one of my first movie-related videos on YouTube, was top 10 movies of 2019. And that was number 2 or 3 for me. My buddies were like, what? And it was Parasite, Ready or Not. And they were like, are you kidding? And I was like,
wow.
I'm like, it's my list, dude. No, I'm not kidding. That's an awesome movie. But, so we still got a couple minutes here. I wanted to ask you this, couple of things. One, you commented on my shirt. Are you familiar with Rancid?
Oh, mildly. I was never cool enough to listen to them.
I was just curious if you knew who they were. Did you listen to a lot of music when you work? If you do, what kind of stuff are you jamming right now?
When I work, it's always focus music. If it's movie instrumental, the amount of time, I guess I can talk about this now. For a hot second, I was seriously pitching on this Poltergeist TV show that I don't know will ever make it see the light of day, but I was gonna I was taking a swing at an original, Poltergeist television show, a narrative, and I was listening to non-stop Jerry Goldsmith, all the original music, from the kids choral stuff to the Star Spangled Banner. I was listening to all of it. And when I'm working, it's either got to be dead silent or ambient kind of orchestral shit. But then music, everything. I love, my Spotify, Discover Weekly. I can just hit a mix and it's just oh, great. I don't have to think about it. It's everything
I've been in the music business for most of my life, and I still on a daily basis hear something that I've never heard and I go, wow, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. That shit's cool, and then you can save it, add it to
oh man,
soundtrack playlist or whatever.
I do all these. Dude, man, Spotify does a great job. I bucked the trend for a long time. I have to say I was wrong, man. Spotify is great. I do this thing on my other channel where I do a lot of music reactions, and so kids started asking me, "Hey, would you do an album reaction?" And I said, "Well, that's a difficult thing to ask me to do. I'm interested if I can figure out a way to do it." Yeah. And so what I came up with was on Mondays, I go live at 8:00, and at 8:05, I hit track 1 of an album that I've picked out, and we listened to the whole album together. And last night, what's today? Tuesday, right? Yeah, last night we did one for this kid named Lil Lotus, somebody I would never listen to normally, right? But I happened to notice that he's on the same record label as these guys. And I was like, well, if he's on that label, I know a lot about that label. I want to know why he's on that label. So let me listen to it. And I really enjoyed it. It was I never would have listened to this kid otherwise. It was pretty cool, man.
That's good. Cool, oh man, that's great. What a great way to like get eyes on something, you know, like you're with your platform, like people that wouldn't know who that was. I didn't know who that was. People go to your channel.
Ultimately, that's my goal ultimately, is to get to where I have 100,000 plus subscribers, and I can go all week. We do the stuff everybody's asking about, but on like Thursdays, I'm gonna drop in some stuff that I listen to. What do you guys think about this? And help some people, because I mean, I've got some bands I'm gonna go be talking to pretty soon that they're legends in my eyes, but they're probably not very big if you think about it. So I'm pretty excited to get some kids to listen to some of this stuff. But one more thing before I know you got to jet out of here pretty soon. Is there anything you're working on that you can talk about? First off,
nothing really crazy pressing. I do want to do something back in the Scare Me universe, like in the Scare Me world, and I have a fun idea for it. So I'm trying to get that off the ground. But there's a lot of different stuff, and I'm definitely trying to figure out how to make a Darkman thing happen. I'm definitely for what that's worth. But you know, to quell any rumors, like I'm there's nothing active at all. I'm just I would just love to play in that world so much, because it's just like such a fantastic IP.
In the event that ever gets off the ground, I will personally handle a petition to get Liam Neeson to do a cameo in that if he's not attached to it.
Oh my god,
man, how cool would that be?
he has to. He's got to. And he'd be down. Come on, he loves to work.
No, Liam Neeson's an awesome dude. I don't think people realize how long he's been around, because I was talking about Darkman with somebody, and I was explaining to them what it was about, and they're like, "Oh, who's in that?" And I was like, "Liam Neeson." And they're like,
his first lead
they're like, "Isn't that '90s?" I'm like, "That's an old movie, bro." I was like, "He was a young man in that movie." I was like, "He's tall and he's a big, tall Irish guy, so he doesn't quite look like a little young man. He's a young man in that movie. I don't think he was
a young man."
Yeah, I was like,
so is Frances McDormand. She's a young woman.
Man, I forgot she was in that. When I watched it recently, I was like, "Oh wow, she's great. She's great."
Yeah, so good. It's a great movie, man. I'm gonna have to watch it again sooner than later. Maybe I'll put it on tomorrow morning to like break up my writing routine or something.
Well, is there any movie that you're out to watch right now? What are you watching on your spare time besides Darkman?
Ooh, what did we just see the other day that was on our watch list? I loved the Val documentary so much. It was so heartbreaking.
I want to watch that, but I have to be in a mood, because I'm sure it's going to be pretty sad.
There's some rough moments, but it's also like he's so, you know, he's lost his voice more or less, and he's so playful. Like he's like got this like Peter Pan energy about him that gives it this levity. And what's really beautiful about it is his son narrates the documentary. So it's really beautiful. It's on Amazon. It's streaming. You guys should check it out. I thought it was really effective. Really, really well done.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch that one pretty soon. Oh. You said his son? Man, my brain goes a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of The Sopranos?
Oh, we just finished The Sopranos. Love The Sopranos.
Dude, did you know that they're making like a prequel series or a movie or something?
Is it the Saints of Newark?
Yeah. I don't know. I just heard about this the other day. Apparently, Gandolfini's son is playing him, and he looks just like him.
Yeah, it's crazy. The trailer's good. You should do a reaction to that trailer.
I 100% will. What's it called?
I think it's definitely got the words Saints of Newark. It might be the Saints of Newark.
I'll check that out, man. That when I heard that, I was like, wait, they're doing what? I said, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Well,
it's like they got the whole band back together, at least the behind the scenes of it all. But dude, it's great.
Man, The Sopranos is one of the great ones, man. That's one of the great ones.
Yeah, really. No joke. No joke.
Well, Mr. Rubin, I do appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for coming back on and talking with me again. I really love your movie, and I congratulate you on its success. I think it's setting you up for some good things in the future. If not, I'll be flabbergasted as to why. So
I hope so. I hope so. I don't want to disappoint you. So I will keep on going on. And thank you for having me anytime.
Absolutely. Hopefully one day we'll be talking about Darkman.
Yeah. Amen.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. You too, Randall.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.